Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
And we are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching episode 16 of Death Note, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Misa's memory is gone when it comes to the Death Note. She gave up Rem and the Death Note, or I guess was kind of like, I think she still wanted to die a little bit, like, before any of this happened, but Rem took the initiative a little bit and decided to do the plan that would suit Light the best as long as Light saves Misa. And he's going to do so by saying goodbye to Ryuk.
Whatever that means.
We think
we have a theory.
That it means forgetting his Death Note,
and
all
then
the memory.
Having some type of plan in action that one of the Shinigami represents a Death Note to him, maybe like a couple days in the future, under the impression right now that Light is going to be interrogated possibly or brought in some capacity, so it would be best if he has no memory as well, especially if like they put him like a lie detector test, something.
I want to know what Light would look like right now, like, and talk like, you know. I want to know how he would sound with no memory of the Death Note. What his like moral justice would be, like what his like opinion on the whole Kira situation
I feel like
is.
It'd be exactly the same.
Yeah.
As how he actually feels. He just would be not guilty, actually, in his own mind.
I wonder if he'd like become more friends with L if he had no memory of the Death Note.
Interesting. He would feel like he was really on the investigative team.
Do you think he would like potentially have trouble wanting to touch a Death Note again? Like if he had to be convinced to do it again?
I don't know. I feel like if he learned what Kira has done and Kira's sense of justice, and then what if he actually ends up suspecting that it's him? Himself.
Maybe. That'd
be
He
probably
funny.
would.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd want to touch it because he'd be like, I did all that. Cool.
Well, yeah,
You know?
Definitely. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that he has a plan to go forward and it's going to go that way. But it'd be interesting. Mm-hmm. It's just another thing that L can't really expect or,
Understand.
Prognosticate or even take into consideration that what could happen, you know? Mm-hmm. He doesn't know how this stuff works, but I think he has a little bit of a hint.
That he's, like, holding his own a little bit with the fact that, like, the other side has basically weapons that he can't even fathom or understand. And he's still been able to deduce so much so far. I don't know why that word was so difficult for me. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a little crazy how, I mean, he's smart, right? He is incredibly smart, and it's an uphill battle for him, but even so, he's still coming out on top at the moment. I wonder what he's going to do with the thought or the, I guess, like, him seeing Rem touch Misa's hair and just seeing Misa's hair move a little bit. We saw his reaction to it. What is he going to do with that information? Is he just going to kind of sit on it and be like, oh, yeah, this is definitely something supernatural?
I would say it's going to take a lot for... I mean, he already has a few instances of even thinking that something supernatural could be happening. Obviously, like, that whole, like, thinking about Shinigami and the eyes and him falling out of the chair in basically disbelief that sort of thing could exist and be happening in this world.
Yeah.
So he might already have kind of like a laundry list of stuff that could be supernatural, out of the ordinary about this whole case. And, you know, he might end up kind of predicting that that's the case. And then I feel like the other task force members are going to be like, what?
Like, there was a moment last episode that, like, initially I was like, oh, throw it away, like, kind of moment when L was like, oh, could this be Kira's manipulation of Misa right now? Like, how Misa wasn't responding. But that, of course, that's, like, the guess you'd come up with, right? Of course that's what you'd assume was happening
if you know Kira can do that to people.
Yeah, and you don't know anything of the Shinigami realm or world other than what's been told to you by Kira.
And if you don't think that Misa is as smart as, say, your number one suspect, Light, you might think that second Kira was always under control by first Kira.
Yeah.
Or you just think that, like, the powers that be would only be obtained by the original Kira.
Darn.
I guess we'll find out what happens.
I was gonna say something, and it was on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't remember it. Well, I am I'm nervous going forward a little bit. I know that Light has a plan, but I don't know. I don't want to see Elle die. You don't know what the plan is. I don't want to see Elle die.
I also really don't want to see Elle die.
Okay, sorry, rethought of it. We saw the hair move, right? Saw the curtains move earlier. Since the beginning of the show, I've been a little obsessed with the idea of like, oh, Ryuk's holding a controller. He's holding an apple. When does that apple like go from visual reality into being invisible? You know, that is a huge like thing. I think we might have to worry about in the future when it comes to Ryuk and Rem, like what can and can't be seen, and that's going to be something that Elle is going to be looking out for.
We did talk about have they already been surveilling Misa in some way before this getting her? Maybe, and you know how in the same episode Light brought up to Misa, don't talk too loudly with Rem. What if they already have evidence of her being weird in public, speaking or Rem touching things or doing things, and this is just an extra instance of that happening?
And then it would stop going forward, which would suggest that like something supernatural happened. I don't know what that would do for the investigative team other than being like, yep, we have more confirmation that shit is weird, but like
yeah, basically,
it's such an uphill battle, right? But the only way that you could really contain anybody who has a death note is unfortunately how they, I guess, subdued Misa, right?
Right.
Rem could have helped her in a way, but she didn't want it. They said that, right?
I guess Rem could have like undone her confines or something.
Yeah.
Which would have been extra freaking... How would Rem have gotten her out of the room? I guess unlocked doors and stuff, and Misa just runs. But then how do you get Misa away?
I don't know. I don't know, like, the extent of a Shinigami's abilities.
Can, like, Rem pick her up and start flying?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know, but I'm... Okay, I'm just ready to get into it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Decision. Is the plan about to be made?
I hereby relinquish ownership of this death note.
Okay.
Take care of her. You gave your word.
Oh no, she must wake up so scared.
Like, I'm wondering how much you forget.
Stalker? Hello, mister? Where are you right now?
Huh? Stalker? Where'd you get that? What's with a new attitude all of a sudden?
She's used to being stalked and almost killed by stalkers, so that makes sense in
it does,
her mind of not remembering.
She forgets everything?
The only reason I have to go through all this trouble is because you brought another death note to the human world.
Okay. I never thought the death note I gave you would end up buried and abandoned.
For the time being, I'm just hiding it, but it stays mine. Next time you hear me say the following words, get rid of it. When I say that, regardless of the context, assume that I want to relinquish ownership of this death note.
Got it.
She's been acting like this ever since she regained consciousness.
How much does she forget?
Seriously? Does she think she can get out of this just by playing dumb? We'd already made so much progress with her, I actually thought she'd crack. Why is she suddenly talking about a stalker?
I mean, you're the one who knocked me out and then brought me here, remember? Wait, I get it. This is some kind of Misa Amane interrogation fantasy, right?
Hey, Amane! No one's buying this, so cut it out!
Oh, this is scary. What's going on? I need to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom again, okay?
It's only been 4 minutes since you last went to the bathroom. I'm afraid you'll have to hold it.
You pervert!
Amane, let's get back to the conversation we were having before you lost consciousness. First of all, do you know who Light Yagami is? And if so, why did you approach him?
What do you mean? How could I not know my own boyfriend?
Okay.
She was so tight-lipped about it earlier, and now she's openly admitting he's her boyfriend? Good timing, it's Light.
Yes, I understand. We'll be expecting you in room K2801.
Ryuzaki, like I said over the phone, I could be Kira.
No, Light! What are you talking about?
There's no real proof that Light Yagami is Kira, so why come here to announce that you could be Kira? What do you hope to accomplish by this?
What are you saying, Light? Stop this!
What about that FBI agent, Ray Pember? It was me he was investigating immediately before he died. Also, I'm the first person in the Kanto region that Misa, the alleged second Kira, approached. It's all been me. If I were in Elle's place, even I would have come to the same conclusion. You see, subconsciously I might be Kira.
I see. So you're not conscious of it, huh?
I'm not sure of anything anymore. Another me could be killing people as I sleep.
I'm afraid that's not possible. Every single night, you slept normally. Criminals whose names were broadcast were still dying, even though you would have had no way of knowing about them. All it proved was that if you were Kira, no amount of camera surveillance would reveal that fact.
Wouldn't reveal that fact, huh?
I don't think he relinquished it. I think this is an act.
Yeah?
Hold on, Light. I feel exactly the same way. I found myself thinking before that some people would be better off dead. Besides, criminals were still being killed even while you had no knowledge of them. I mean, the surveillance cameras proved it, didn't they?
This was premeditated. It's no accident you chose to do this now. What if we incarcerate you for a while? If criminals whose names are made public keep dying, then it would lead us to think that you're innocent.
This is such a cool shot, dude. This is such a cool shot.
I don't like the way that this is going at all, but what choice do I have? I need you to fully restrain Light Yagami and place him in solitary confinement.
What? You can't!
If we're gonna do this, then it has to happen immediately.
It's okay, Dad. Something has to be done about this. As long as I'm having these doubts, I can't work with you to catch Kira. Promise me this. Until you can say with absolute certainty that I'm not Kira, you cannot set me free, no matter what I might say or what condition I might be in.
You have my word.
If I don't do this, I won't be able to live with myself.
I can't tell if it's an act. How red are those eyes? Are they brown?
Maybe he has Ryuk agreeing to kill off criminals that are shown on TV while
Why
this
would
is
Ryuk
happening.
do it? Just for fun?
I guess.
Like, we know that he could have written down a name of 1,000 names in the course of the next 5 years to be killed. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there wouldn't be any new criminals.
I'm very stumped, I guess.
Like, what is, like...
I think he's definitely acting, but, like, I'm stumped where it goes from here.
Next, I just have to get rid of the notebook.
I'd like to request that you take me off this investigation, given that it's not appropriate for me to be here.
Yeah.
It's impossible for me to be objective in this situation.
Chief Yagami, you're the best!
He's the best.
Oh.
Yes, I'll agree with you there. To be honest, I wondered what you might do.
I will ask that you confine me as well. At the moment, I'm calm. But to be honest, I'm not sure how much more of this I can take.
While you're in confinement, we'll be giving you continuous updates on the investigation so you'll know what's happening. So how does that sound to you?
I'm grateful. Thank you.
He is aware of himself. He's able to hold accountability for himself.
He does not deserve to be in this position.
I didn't think this could get any more bizarre.
It is pretty
I did not think this would be
bizarre.
happening.
I didn't think it would either.
Ryuzaki, talk to me. What's happening?
In fact, quite a few criminals' names have been broadcast recently. We haven't had one report of a criminal being killed by Kira.
Wait, no one's been killed? Really? So it's only a matter of time before I'm convicted as Kira.
Ryuk's just like...
I thought the murders would continue even after Light was confined. Instead, they've stopped completely. It'll only strengthen the argument that he is Kira. The only question left will be...
These visuals are crazy.
Of being Kira. It's not like Yagami. No, it's not like Kira.
Fifth day.
Man.
Yagami
days since Light was put in prison. And look, not a single criminal whose name has been broadcast was killed. In these situations, I think the parents must suffer a lot more than the accused.
Mr. Yagami.
What is it? Is it good news? Is it bad news?
Wow.
It doesn't matter how much time you devote to worrying about this. The outcome will be the same. This could go on for quite some time. Perhaps you should rest in a more comfortable place.
Impossible! What makes you think I care where I am? It won't change anything. When I leave here, it's going to be with my son.
I understand.
So, like, even if Light is guilty, he feels guilty himself? Or he wants to be punished too? Is that what he kind of
He's
meant
sitting
by that
like
too?
he's sitting like L. Plus 50 IQ.
Are you feeling all right?
Now that I've come this far, I think it's about time. I suppose I'll have to get rid of it. Huh?
Go, Ryuk, you're on a mission.
Oh my god.
Got it.
Whoa! Look at
Look
him!
at his face!
I don't belong here.
This whole thing's completely pointless.
Huh?
Because I'm not Kira.
You have to get me out of here.
I can't do that. I promised you that no matter what you said, I wouldn't let you out until I was convinced that you are not Kira.
If I have no memory of his crimes, I'm not him.
I've never been able to accept this idea that Kira has been acting without self-awareness all.
Did Light, like, account for his... Oh my god.
Listen, just hear me out. I swear to you, I'm not lying.
It's weird seeing this change, like, in how his face is drawn.
Yeah. So well done.
What's wrong with you, Light Yagami? What you're saying is completely absurd, but for some reason it feels believable to me.
Why is this happening?
What the hell is going on? This isn't like Light at all. Anyway, I don't care what anyone says. As far as I'm concerned, we have all the proof we need. Light Yagami is Kira, and that's the end of it.
15th day.
I just heard 2 weeks worth of criminals were just murdered all at once. It happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Guess what, Chief? Kira started killing again.
What?
Matsuda.
Then that means my son. I shouldn't be happy that people have been killed, but at least Light's name will finally be cleared. Ryuzaki, this won't be enough to clear him.
Well, he's in the gray.
Did you hear what he just said, Chief?
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than being
What is it, Ryuzaki?
You've been in here just over 2 weeks and not a single new criminal has been punished. Why make this harder than it has to be? Are you ready to confess?
Don't be ridiculous.
I'm telling you, you're wrong.
I am not Kira.
It's so odd seeing him like this.
Go ahead, look at my eyes. You tell me, these look like the eyes of someone who is lying?
Amane, are you ready to tell me who Kira is or not?
I wish I knew, but I don't. Because if I did, I'd thank him for punishing the burglar who killed my parents. To me, Kira is a hero.
I don't understand what's going on here.
This is, I'm sure you don't. This is
No.
freaking confusing. Oh.
Okay, that was episode 16 of Death Note. I am full of so many different feelings.
Does this, I don't know. Does this make Elle think that maybe there's someone controlling Light and Misa's actions and that now they've lost their memories? They were just pawns?
Maybe. I think that that's definitely a possibility. I feel for Elle. If in that situation you're that smart, you're that good at deductive reasoning, being able to see somebody's like body language, and then it switches on a dime, and both of these people are acting completely different and innocent, and like
It's like both people went from completely acting guilty with like without shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
To being completely no way that they're guilty in how they're acting.
Do you think Elle feels some sort of guilt towards Light?
He might. I mean, he probably feels in his head like, if I'm wrong, this is pretty messed up.
I think that he might, but then he's like, oh, but I did promise Light that,
Yeah,
I'd
I
keep
mean,
him in
like,
here.
Light agreed to this. Elle agreed to this. They all agreed to this.
So, am I right in assuming Light was able to predict and prognosticate his own actions for when he didn't know or have any recollection
He probably
of the Death
thought
Note?
to himself, how would I feel
Yeah.
if I was locked up for something that I didn't do in solitary
Yeah.
confinement?
So,
You'd be pretty freaking like, I didn't do it, freaking out.
so if you write a list of all these people in the Death Note and say they're going to die in 2 weeks, and then relinquish the Death Note, those deaths will still happen?
I guess. I'm unsure if he originally wrote them or if he told Ryuk to do it and Ryuk agreed to do this.
I don't know if Ryuk
But
would do it. That's my only thing.
I feel like Ryuk would, because he'd find that it'd be more interesting if Light gets out of this,
Yeah.
So I feel like he might, especially if Light was like, I'll give you all the apples you ever want kind of thing. So I'm unsure if he wrote them thinking that he'd be locked up for 2 weeks or so, and thinking that Elle wouldn't tell him about the deaths. So he might have seen it as like Elle's, like, this is a move to test kind of Elle and Elle's actions regarding him suspecting Light anymore with new circumstances.
The storyboarding on this episode, holy shit, man. Like, there were so many cool scenes. Look, like, one of my favorite ones is Elle looking, like, you could see his reflection into his tea, and he was speaking his thoughts in the reflection. That was great. The drawing on Light when he snapped, like, when he turned and forgot.
He got, like, almost like a baby face.
I thought it was like Ash
normally...
Ketchum for a second. It was so innocent and pure.
He does look a lot younger, almost. It's like his character aged down back to when he was in high school or something. It's like, it was so odd seeing his eyes just almost get bigger and kind of younger looking.
Yeah.
But can we even talk about Chief Yagami? Like, as a character in this show, his sense of accountability, responsibility, justice, knowing himself enough to, as a parent and also as a police officer, still taking into account that he doesn't want to ruin the investigation or make it so, there's some, like, cause to question things because of his presence there. He is so freaking amazing for this really hard decision that he made to get locked up. Obviously, he basically threatened, something bad will happen if you don't, but I think that was purely him being aware that if he keeps hearing about his son possibly being Kira, or his son ends up actually being Kira, he doesn't know what he will do, because that will fill him with so much grief and anger, and he doesn't know what to do with those emotions. He is scared for himself and others when that possibility happens.
It's so real. It's so true. Like, all of his feeling. It feels like he's a real person in this world, this life. He's so outstandingly written, and the way that they use him and when he comes into the conversation and when he doesn't is so realistic and so
Elle brought up
perfect.
that he was the one taking it the hardest
Yeah.
out of the three. Like, obviously, as the parent, as the one that is completely guilty in this whole scenario, obviously now both Misa and Light are taking it slightly differently than before, but still, he's the one that's, like, his hair's grown out, he's, like, freaking out, he's, like, quick to, you can tell he's having it rough in there, even though he's in a nicer situation than the other two are, because he's having to sit there with the knowledge, basically, that it kind of seems like his son is guilty. More than kind of seems.
Okay, I think... Oh, I know. Light got me at first, like, when he came in. Like, I was definitely...
You thought maybe he already relinquished?
Yeah, like, definitely at first, because he was doing such, like, a good act. But But I'm more curious than anything to see what Light's feelings towards Misa are going to be. Because...
after all of this?
No, like right now. He has no memory of the Death Note. We obviously know Misa still is like, oh, Light, my boyfriend, you know?
He probably thinks of her purely as a girl that likes him. I don't know what he would feel for. He probably, as himself, like without the Death Note knowledge, would probably be like, you know, she's really pretty. She wants to date me.
Yeah.
You know?
But
he might have more affection or favor towards her now that the Death Note is gone.
What's the plan here going forward? Like, obviously, convince them that you're not Kira, but how do you get the Death Note again? You buried it. Do you have coordinates? Why are you going to go there? Like,
we don't know what his entire step-by-step plan was. Like, we don't know. All we knew was this step. The step that is happening right now. We weren't told by Light beforehand how he gets out of this actual situation. When does Ryuk come back in? We don't know. He didn't tell us. This is all going to be surprise for all of us. Obviously not the people that have watched this before, but like us and the characters in the show.
I am so worried for Detective Yagami. He like already had like a heart attack or something from the stress that he was being put under. Like, I
am going to be scared if this naturally kills him because of the stress. Just the idea that, and he even said like he felt bad for feeling glad that people had died because it could mean that his son isn't a killer. Jesus. And I'm like, dang, this is such like a real, well-written parental character.
I feel like the author of this show or the story has to be like some crazy psychologist who knows like human behavior and emotions more than anybody else.
I wonder if there are criminal studies
major
like, or something.
It's so well done. Like one of the other officers had a line, I don't know if it was Aizawa or not, but like the family or the parents of the criminals being accused sometimes have it harder than the criminals themselves based off like their disbelief,
which I think is like, we could totally understand that to be true.
Holy hell, dude! Light's acting of being so different, that really got me.
He's subjecting himself to basically unknowing torture. Why am I here? I didn't do anything. He knew that whatever he was going to put himself through something terrifying. And Misa's being put through something terrifying right now too. She literally probably believes that she's still tied up by a stalker because she's like, there's no way I'm related to Kira. Like, obviously this is just a stalker's fantasy.
Yeah, at first I had the thought, like right when she said stalker, I was like, no way that she did not just go back to the memory of right before Jealous killed the one stalker and she still thinks that stalker's the one who took her. But obviously that's not the case. But that would have been fucking nuts.
She's definitely, I mean, she even basically said that like she's obviously had multiple stalkers. She's had multiple people who have done really crazy, creepy stuff to her. Mm-hmm. One almost violent. So she's handling it. It's sad how well she is handling this.
Yeah.
Because obviously it shows you that she's conditioned to have to try to act to be strong in these situations so that they don't kill her. And like, I'll kiss you on the cheek. Like, she has to act. And she's conditioned herself to be this way in case a stalker gets too close. And it's honestly really sad to have to see her go through that.
Yeah.
Knowing now that she doesn't have any memories of what she did. And it's almost just like the actual Misa, the before the Death Note Misa, is just having to suffer again. And be scared again. And have to put on a face so that a stalker won't kill her or won't do unthinkable things to her just to appease them so they'll let her go. It's honestly really sad to see that.
Yeah, I mean, she did kill people who were innocent.
Yes.
But it is, I get what you're saying, for sure. Because in her memory, she didn't. You know?
And also in her memory, Kira isn't necessarily wholly a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because
they
he killed the people that killed her parents.
Oh my god, the morality of the show, dude. I don't... What's it gonna take? Like, is it just gonna be 6 months later, and then Elle's like, alright, I'm letting you out of jail?
I don't know what amount of time could convince Elle that he should let him go.
Because I don't think there's any action.
I don't know if there's an action that could happen. I am definitely not smart enough to figure out what action in the real world or action of light could happen for Elle to be like, because Elle doesn't want to waste what's already happened. He's not going to like squander what's already happened. It would have to be someone else getting caught as Kira or
But there are no other real suspects, you know? Like, it would have to be that the people who are dying now are by Light's hands, and he wrote them 2 weeks prior, and he also wrote in of a criminal doing things before they inevitably died that would suggest that they are Kira. You know?
I have no freaking clue. I'm like, is Ryuk supposed to give the death note to someone that they're gonna pin it on? Does Light plan to like frame someone? It's hurting my brain trying to think of what they're going to do.
Part of me just doesn't want to think too much about it, so I can just purely enjoy the story. Mm-hmm. I love theorizing here and there, like based off of what we have. But at the moment, we don't have much
right now of what's gonna happen. Because we don't know Light's plan. We don't.
I hope that Ryuk got his apples. He seemed like he was having a tough time.
He was suffering more than any of them.
All right, that's all I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.